You said we recorded for 11 minutes. Don passed away on 11/11.
What?
Yes. I met Don, probably was like in my mid to late 30s. We met at a Philly Loves Michael Jackson party. You know, it was just a different time in the world. We bumped into each other. He asked me to dance, and the whole night we ended up talking about like crystals and like spiritual stuff. And then we instantly had a connection. And that morphed into a relationship, and we were together for 10 years. We had a lot of highs, a lot of lows. As any relationship, you know, it's an ebb and flow. You know, it takes time to get to know the other person. You know, Don was a good person. We both were cancers. So there's that. You know, I feel like we clung to each other like over the years. We were best friends, and that was paramount for the relationship. We really were best friends. He had a very funny personality. He was silly. He was funny. You know, he was the guy that always liked to joke, and you know, even when I didn't feel like being bothered, he was joking and he would make me laugh. And so, you know, unfortunately, you know, we ended up breaking up a year prior to him passing away. My friend called and told me that he had passed away. I felt like I was going through a second breakup. And it took some time. It took almost a year for me to just really grasp that idea of him just not being here at all. I would say most of 2025, I was, you know, still grieving. And even if I didn't express it with anybody, like friends, you know, there were times I would talk to friends about it, and there were times I would just do it silently, just be with myself and sit with it. You know, I knew we had broken up. I just, you know, as most people thought, we would probably run into each other every now and again because, you know, we're both living in the same state. You know, we both have an interest in the same thing. So I didn't think that I would not see him again. You know, we would just be broken up. I'm very grateful that I probably saw him. So he passed away in November of 2024. I saw him in the summer, probably like early summer, maybe June or July. I'm grateful that I did get a chance to see him. That was the last time that I actually saw him physically. I did have some regret, like when he passed away. I wish, you know, I had talked to him more that day, the last time I saw him. You know, I was able to give him a hug, acknowledge his presence, but I kind of like, you know, I let him, you know, chill with his friend that he was there chilling with, and I just chilled with my people that I was there. But knowing him, the type of person he was, I know he probably wanted me to give more. And I do wish I had a chance to go back and change that moment, because I would have, you know, gave him more than what I gave that day. It was tough. You know, when he first passed away, I really was depressed. I hadn't been depressed in a long time. I really was depressed. It was something about leaving work. Every day I would leave work, and it was around the holiday time, and I would walk through the Christmas Village down at Love Park, and I would instantly feel depressed, feel very emotional. I don't know what it was about downtown. Maybe it was because, you know, me and him had always hit the streets and was out, and, you know, shopping was one of our things that we loved to do. We would like to go out and shop. And I don't know what it was about Christmas time that just really, really made me feel extra emotional. And so it's weird. I think with time, I learned to be more comfortable with his death. It was very uncomfortable because I went through that stage. Oh, you know, if me and him were still friends, you know, I would have checked on him. If he wasn't feeling well, I would have encouraged him to go back to the doctor, and, you know, he could have been saved. And, you know, I went through all of that, and that just really kept me stuck. Once I brought myself back to the present and realized that, you know, some things just are, we can't go back and change the hands of time. And that was his time. And it happened the way it happened. And so I think acceptance made me feel better. Do I still think about him all the time? Do I think about the fun moments we've had? Yes. Can I still get choked up and teary-eyed? Yes. Because, you know, this man was a part of my life for 10 years, you know. If I had 1 minute to say anything to Don, it would be that I truly did love him. I appreciated who he was. You know, I felt, you know, he had a really good heart. And I really appreciated, you know, throughout all the ups and downs that we had, I really appreciated our relationship. You taught me a lot. You helped me grow. I loved your funny, silly, lighthearted personality. And I just really appreciated who you were, and I appreciated the time we had. You know, even though it didn't work out, I still appreciated the time that we had. And I appreciated you.
July 12th, 2016 to be exact. That's what it's all about. Living life, loving life.